Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Efrem Graham. Ahead today, face-to-face talks, peace talks, begin again in the war in Ukraine. But even as the talks are underway, the destruction continues and a Christian ministry has been destroyed. Actor Will Smith apologizing for slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars Sunday evening. So what led him to do it? What could be ahead for him? And what spiritual advice did Denzel Washington give him? Plus, we'll take a look at a ministry leading the way to help the disabled in Ukraine affected by the war.
A lot of these people with disabilities are stuck in apartment buildings. A lot of them are in basements. Galena and our teams have been out searching for these people.
Then later, it's known as the biblical superhighway.
The places and events and the peoples that make Jerusalem, Jerusalem. For Christians, for Jews, it all happened here in the city of David.
We'll take you to Pilgrimage Road in Jerusalem. All these stories and more are coming up next from the CBN Newsroom.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
I want to begin with the first face-to-face peace talks in 2 weeks between Ukraine and Russia, beginning today in Istanbul, Turkey. Ahead of the meeting, the Ukraine's president said his country is prepared to declare its neutrality, as Moscow has demanded, and is open to compromise over the contested eastern Donbas region. But he warned the ruthless war is still underway. The talks come as Russian forces are still devastating cities and villages of Ukraine, leaving buildings and streets in ruins. Our senior international correspondent, George Thomas, is with us now from Lviv, Ukraine. So, George, do you expect anything major in these talks that begin today in Istanbul?
Yeah, Efrem, both sides from the Kremlin as well as Kyiv, both sides are playing down any major breakthroughs. Look, the Russians have always said from the very beginning two very important things. One, that the Zelensky government has to step down. And number two, the demilitarization of this country. That's going to be impossible. There's a saying here in Ukraine, and that it goes like this. If the Russians were to lay down their arms, there will be peace today in Ukraine. If the Ukrainians were to lay down their arms, there will be no Ukraine. And so both sides, look, it's the first time that they're able to talk face to face in the last 2 weeks. But both sides downplaying any major breakthrough in the events unfolding here.
George, there are unconfirmed reports Ukrainians have retaken the city of Irpin. What are you hearing? And tell us about the reports that a Christian group in Irpin had their offices destroyed by Russian forces.
That's right. Let me answer the first question. Those are unconfirmed reports, but if it is true, it is quite dramatic. You'll have to remember that the areas of Homostel, Irpin, and Bucha were the first points of contact for the Russians when they started more than a month ago. So for the Ukrainians to take over the city is rather dramatic. It really is a big event. Also, it pushes the Russians further away from the capital city. The other thing is Mission Eurasia, which has had a headquarters in Irpin for many years. The reporting from the ministry, from their president, Sergei Rakuba, he showed dramatic images of the entire building destroyed. And keep in mind, for Christians, this part of Irpin has been sort of like the Wheaton of Ukraine. Many evangelical groups have worked out of Irpin, and the status of their operations are still unknown right now.
Tracking your travels, you're back in Ukraine's largest city now in the West. How has Lviv changed in the 2 weeks that you were away?
Yeah, incredible. There are more people. And this scene right here, which I did not see 2 weeks ago, this right here, did not see this. Cafes that have their chairs and their tables out. And you see that even on this side. Obviously, there aren't people here yet, but you can just tell that things are opening back up. It's a sign, again, the sign that even though a month into this war, people want to continue their life. They want to move on. Keep in mind, for more than a month, this part of the country has seen relative peace. All of that changed this past Sunday when the Russians decided to launch multiple cruise missiles, hitting a major fuel depot not too far from where I'm standing. So pretty much the city's still very much on edge.
Yeah, indeed. Senior international correspondent George Thomas reporting for us from Ukraine. George, thank you. Want to remind you at home, if you are looking to help, you can help Operation Blessings, disaster relief efforts in this horrible war and humanitarian crisis in Ukraine. Simply call 1-800-700-7000. Let us know that you want to give to the Operation Blessing Disaster Relief Fund. You can also write us at CBN Center, Virginia Beach, Virginia, 23463. Simply note Disaster Relief Fund in the memo line of your check, and you can text us. Simply text OB Crisis to 71777. You can also visit our website, cbn.com and ob.org. Anything you're able to do is greatly needed and appreciated. Back here at home, actor Will Smith has apologized for slapping comedian Chris Rock at the Oscars Sunday. Smith posted the apology on Instagram Monday, saying he was out of line and wrong. Smith had charged on stage and slapped Rock after Rock made a joke about his wife.
Oh, wow!
That moment landing hard after Rock's joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's shaved head. She's been public about her struggle with hair loss. Less than an hour later, Will Smith won his first Academy Award for Best Actor in King Richard. In his acceptance speech, he talked about wanting to be a vessel for love, a stark contrast to his earlier behavior. He also revealed a piece of spiritual advice Denzel Washington gave to him.
Denzel said to me a few minutes ago, he said, at your highest moment, be careful, that's when the devil comes for you.
On CBN's Faith Nation program Monday, anchor Jenna Bratter and I talked about the slap, what led to it, and the advice that Will Smith received afterward.
So I know you recently interviewed Will Smith for his role in King Richard, which he, of course, won Best Actor for. In his acceptance speech, he called his character, Richard Williams, a fierce defender of his family. What do you think? Do you think he thought that this slap was justified?
I believe in his mind, yes. Of course, we don't condone it, but I think Will Smith was coming from a place of, and he says it. He says it in his acceptance speech that in this job we're called on to take things and to take a beating. But I think you simply reached a breaking point. I don't believe the one joke alone was it. He talks often about Richard Williams being a fierce defender, as you mentioned. And what he loved about the character was the way that he defended his daughters and protected them. And I think he was acting out of protecting my wife. Jada Pinkett Smith suffers from alopecia. She talked about this a couple of years ago, which forced her to lose her hair. And I'm thinking Will Smith may be sitting here thinking, okay, it's my night. You can come for me, but not my wife, not my children. And we saw that play out on stage. Certainly no one justifies going up on stage and slapping anyone. But I do believe Will Smith was coming from a place of don't attack my wife. This isn't the first time that Chris Rock has called out and attacked verbally Jada Pinkett Smith. And I'm so sure it was building up to this moment.
Yeah, we should mention Chris Rock has said he won't press charges, assault charges, so there is that. What do you make of Denzel Washington? He told Will Smith about the devil that, and this is a quote, that's when the devil comes for you at your highest moment. Your thoughts on that, Efrem?
Absolutely. Will Smith has been vocal. When we talked about the film King Richard, he talked about his faith more openly than he ever has. And he said, even in his acceptance speech, in this time in my life, in this moment, I am overwhelmed by what God is calling on me to do and to be in this world. I'm being called on in my life to love my people, to protect my people, and to be a river to my people. So he feels that his career, certainly the trajectory is changing. And he is working now, often like Denzel says, I've gotten all the awards, I've made all the money. I now am only called on to give back. So for Denzel to come to him, to comfort him and give him that word of advice when he got off stage. And it wasn't just Denzel. Tyler Perry also went over to him. Bradley Cooper went up to him as well to comfort him in that moment. Certainly a difficult moment for Will Smith and for us all to witness. Again, Will Smith has since issued an apology to Chris Rock, saying that he acted out of character and his behavior was unwarranted and unnecessary. Naturally, the story will continue to unfold and we'll continue to follow it. Coming up, we head to the PrayerLink studios with a story about a faith-based ministry helping the disabled in Ukraine. Stay with us. We've got that for you when we come back.
Your news channel. Your shows. The stories you care about. Anytime you want. Anywhere you want. Download the CBN News app today.
Welcome back to CBN NewsWatch. It has been 1 month since Russian troops have invaded Ukraine. Chaos, turmoil, and devastation have followed as nearly 10 million Ukrainians leave their war-torn cities for neighboring Poland.
But one group has been all but forgotten. There are approximately 2 million disabled people currently living in Ukraine. While many have no way out, Joni and Friends, a faith-based ministry, is leading rescue efforts to get as many out as they can. This week on the Prayer Link, we spoke with the group's founder, Joni Eareckson Tada, about their work to secure the safety of those with disabilities.
And just imagine if you're a quadriplegic like me, I can't use my hands, I'm in a wheelchair. And if you were on the 7th floor of an apartment building and you were in Mariupol being bombed and there were rocket strikes, it's not like you can jump out of bed, grab a few things, rush out the front door and make a dash for the border. You can't do that. And so a lot of these people with disabilities are stuck in apartment buildings. A lot of them are in basements. The plight there of individuals with disabilities is horrific. But we've been working with our in-country partner, Galina. I won't share her last name. Galina and our teams have been out searching for these people, even in the most dangerous eastern parts of Ukraine, to rescue them and get them across the border and to safe haven in not only Poland, but Germany and the Netherlands. And we've evacuated over 300 people with disabilities thus far and caregivers, and we're still active, believe me.
Wow, wow, Joni, that is very, very impressive and very important work that you're doing. You recently began construction of Joni's house, Ukraine, but Russia's invasion put a stop to that. How did your ministry then pivot?
Well, real quickly, Joni's house are disability centers of evangelism, Bible study, wheelchair distribution, repair, places where we can provide medical assistance, food, hygiene items. We established Joni's houses in developing nations all across the world to serve people with disabilities. However, we were just about ready to begin construction of Joni's house in Ukraine when the rocket strikes began with Russia's invasion. And so we quickly pivoted, and all the concrete, all the cement, the cinder blocks, the lumber, everything ready to go for the construction of Joni's house in Ukraine, we suddenly reallocated and redirected to be used to shore up homes and care facilities for the elderly, to protect people with disabilities. So those items all were put to good use, not in constructing a Joni's house, but of course barricading people so that they might have a safe haven.
Amen.
That's great.
Amen. And you also work with an in-country coordinator that you mentioned earlier who has refused to leave Ukraine, but is working daily to take disabled people and their caregivers across the border. What type of dangers is she running into?
Well, you've got to remember that we're rescuing people from even parts of eastern Ukraine. So just the Christians who are volunteering to drive these buses along the corridors where there is heavy shelling, even the drivers of these vans are taking a great risk. And so the dangers are going out into the highways and the byways, as Jesus said in Luke 14, going out into the streets and alleys, the country roads, finding the disabled. Again, Luke chapter 14, Jesus says, go out and find them and bring them in. Amen. And that's exactly what Galina and her vast network of churches all throughout Ukraine are doing. They're going out, finding these disabled in these apartment buildings who can't get out, bringing them to safety across what are supposed to be humanitarian corridors. But of course, from news reports, we know that those corridors are not safe. And yet she is in a valiant effort in rescuing over 300 people. And I'm so amazed. And actually, she's working on an 8th evacuation right now as I speak.
And you can watch the full episode on the Prayer Link on the CBN News Channel.
You will be encouraged through the word and prayer. That's all on this week's Prayer Link. Back to you, Efrem.
Thank you, Charlene. And you can catch Prayer Link on the CBN News Channel this evening at 6:30 Eastern. You can also download the CBN News app so you can watch it on demand. Still ahead, we're going to take you to Jerusalem's Pilgrimage Road, where the Bible comes to life in many ways. Stay with us. The Pool of Siloam, Mount Moriah, the Temple Mount, the City of David. One path links these sites together. It's the path Jesus walked on the pilgrimage to the temple in ancient Jerusalem. And archaeologists are uncovering this path for all to see again. Chris Mitchell takes us there.
They call it the biblical superhighway, the pilgrim's path that led to the Jewish temple in ancient times.
The places and events and the peoples that make Jerusalem, Jerusalem. For Christians, for Jews, it all happened here in the City of David. This is where the beating heart of Jerusalem is. We're talking about the Pool of Siloam. We're talking about Mount Moriah, the Temple Mount. We're talking about the City of David. The pilgrimage road links them all together.
For Jews in ancient days, their pilgrimage began here at the Pool of Siloam. It's a mikveh or ritual bath. It's the size of 2 Olympic swimming pools. They would purify themselves here before going up to the Temple Mount to worship God.
The historian Josephus says that 2,000 years ago, on the pilgrimage festivals, there would have been more than 2 million people going up on pilgrimage. That's a lot of people who need to bathe.
The pool is also where Jesus healed the blind man, as recounted in the book of John. Its location was hidden by a road until 15 years ago, when a sewage leak led to excavations, the discovery of the pool, and much more.
The archaeologists, when they find the Pool of Siloam, so they understand if that's the pool, and they know where the temple stood on the Temple Mount some 2,000 years ago. The same Temple Mount as today.
Zev Orenstein with the City of David Foundation says archaeologists wondered how the pilgrims traveled from the pool to the Temple Mount.
So the archaeologists widened the excavation, and we are standing on the very answer to that question. We are standing atop the ancient pilgrimage road.
These are the stones that Jesus would have walked on his way up to the temple. And now the significance of the excavation of the pilgrimage road is that for the first time in 2,000 years, visitors will be able to walk all the way from the Pool of Siloam up to the Western Wall.
The word in the Bible, the Hebrew words, is aliyah l'regel, or ole regel. Now, what we understand that to mean is it's a spiritual ascent. You're going up to the temple, going to Jerusalem. It's a very holy place. But, Chris, when you're in the place where the Bible happened, the words of the Bible come to life. Because as we're walking right now, and I'm sure you could feel it, we're walking uphill.
And it was more than that.
This would have been like Times Square. You would have had on both sides of the road, and keep in mind, the road is about 3, 4, 5 times wider than what we see over here. You would have had shops, stalls along both sides of the road. This is the center of Jerusalem from a spiritual perspective, from a communal perspective, also from a commerce perspective.
According to the Israel Antiquities Authority, the road took 10 years to build, from 20 to 30 AD, and was constructed by Pontius Pilate.
One of the major issues of Jerusalem is that it's a living city. All the layers, all the archaeological layers are built on top of one another, and the modern living quarters and everything is built on top of the archaeological layers.
Excavation manager Ari Levy says uncovering the road is a major engineering feat.
We have modern neighborhood just above our heads, and we don't want it to collapse. After each meter that we take out, each meter of soil, we enter an arch-like construction like this. This supports the entire weight of what we have above us.
Along the route, you can see many places where the road remains intact and others where it's destroyed, given its violent history.
We know that the Romans, they destroyed Jerusalem. And if you would find everything perfectly intact, well, it wouldn't seem like much of a destruction.
Among the discovered treasures are small coins minted during the Great Jewish Revolt, before the Romans destroyed the temple and Jerusalem in 70 AD. Scholars often wonder why the Jews made worthless coins instead of weapons. Orenstein has the answer.
Jews of Jerusalem understood that the Romans were likely going to destroy the city. But they also believed that one day in the future, their descendants would return and find these coins, and they would know what their ancestors lived and died for a free Jerusalem. And here we are nearly 2,000 years later, standing along the very same pilgrimage road here in the City of David, in Jerusalem, the capital of the Jewish state of Israel.
The city of David hopes the entire pilgrimage road, all the way from the Pool of Siloam to the Western Wall, will be open to the public within a few years. That will give visitors a first-hand experience of what it was like to worship God in the time of Jesus. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, the city of David, Jerusalem.
Coming up, see how protesters in Germany are honoring and helping children in Ukraine. Stay with us.
Download the CBN News app, 24/7 news from a Christian perspective at home or on the road. One place for all of your news. Breaking news alerts. Set daily prayer goals and pray for news stories. Read the most important news and watch CBN News Channel live. CBN News, because truth matters. Go to cbnnewsapp.com to get the app today.
Protesters in Germany are helping the children of Ukraine while honoring the victims of the conflict. They laid teddy bears in front of a cathedral in Cologne, Germany over the weekend in memory of the children killed in Ukraine since the war began. People also held signs calling for the war to end. After this event, the toys were given to some of the children forced to flee Ukraine. Time now for your Tuesday Tweetable. This is a message I pray blesses you and moves you to bless others by tweeting, posting, tagging, and sharing it with them. Be generous with what is already in your hands. Don't wait for more. Give now. It will open the door for you to give even more tomorrow. With that word, I encourage you to make this a terrific Tuesday and be sure to have yourself a wonderful week. I hope it's filled with purpose and you're living it on purpose. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. You can always find more of our programs on the CBN News channel at any time, as well as online at cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us at that address right there on your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, you can always reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope to see you right back here, same time tomorrow. God bless you.